Are you constipated emotionally? Yeah. You're a coper emotionally. Maybe you don't feel loved. Maybe you just want to hide your feelings. Huh? Well, maybe you are 3E. Right? Let's see. Process-oriented placement. It is copy. Right? Just like any other third position, it is copy. Outwardly, it is manifested oftentimes as a cold, indifferent, and more serious presentation. So a person who can seem dry, who can seem monotone, who can seem cold, that is how they present themselves externally. But internally, they can be very deep feelers, right? Very emotional people who are, again, constipated emotionally. This process, by its copy, so it does want to actually deep down process those emotions, but also is extremely guarded. So it's a push and pull relationship of the 3E, kind of like any other third placement, you know, man. Once we're gonna start talking about 3L, oh damn, that's gonna be hard. Getting influenced by other people's emotions is not exactly something they enjoy, right? Not always, especially some kind of negative emotions can take a very big toll on 3E individual. So that's not something that they like to indulge. With all that said, as you can kind of imagine, they're quite sensitive to emotions of other people, right? They're sensitive to that. They're also sensitive to emotional pressure, believe it or not. They're vulnerable to that. So if you'd imagine a 3E person, again, outwardly more cold and unaffected, but they don't handle emotions of others well. They're still guarding themselves. They're still putting up a certain mask, defense mechanism against their own emotional state, which they still value deeply. They still value it. They just want to keep it inside, again, out of fear. There's a big difference between someone who's 4E and 3E, because a 4E goes with the flow of emotion. It's not protecting anything. In a sense, there's nothing to protect. 3E protects its own feelings and keeps them close. So, right, they're not just gonna go like, oh, those are my feelings, take them. Not at all. Since it's not a very skilled placement, they're not that good at dealing with emotional situations. They just don't know how to deal with such situations, right? Maybe you are Asperger. Maybe you're Asperger. Maybe you're on your period. And you know, sometimes maybe you didn't get your chocolate on your period and now you are throwing a tantrum. No worries. It's not that deep. But a 3E person is definitely not going to be thinking that. Trust me. In fact, they're going to be overwhelmed by emotions. They're going to be overwhelmed by what the fuck's going on? What's wrong with her? Why? Why is this happening? But he's not going to cope well. He's not going to know how to manipulate your mood, how to change your mood, or how to do anything. He's going to be at a loss how to deal with the situation. So again, it's going to lead to a problem. 4E is going to be like, oh yeah, haha, whatever. Ain't that deep. Oh, I just woke up. Anyway, you can see, right? Your emotional stress, your emotions, your negative emotions can influence them. It can stress them out and it can create negative emotionality in them. They want to protect themselves from that. So I would say you can often expect 3E people not to handle such emotional situations very well. They can react with, in the most extreme situations, with aggression. Aggression, anger, because they're not able to cope with it. All of this emotional issue. They are afraid of emotional pain. Right? So it's a funny dichotomy. They're trying to guard themselves. And of course, why would you try to guard yourself emotionally? Why? Because you are afraid of emotional pain. Because you believe you cannot handle it. You believe deep down subconsciously that you cannot handle the pain because it's going to be too great. And you're just not good at handling such emotions. As you can imagine, this attitude will create a person who can struggle with intimacy, who can struggle with closeness, with emotional expression in a closer relationship, for example. It's kind of like they're gonna keep their feelings. They're gonna try to keep to their feelings and not reveal too much in fear of being betrayed or fear of being abandoned or fear of anything. Fear of you not supporting them. Or fear of you not understanding them and valuing their emotions. Outward presentation of coldness and indifference, they won't tell you what they think. So getting close to someone like that, it is extremely fucking difficult to know what this individual is even thinking, even feeling, because they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I feel this way, you know. With 4E, it's easy. What do you feel? I don't feel anything. I'm dead inside. But That's the funny dichotomy too, right? 4E is more expressive. 4E seems more like hot-headed oftentimes, depending on the subtype, but seems more fiery. So you'd assume, oh, it's more emotional. But no, it's actually inside it's cold as ice, which is a strange thing. But that's the opposite for 3E. This placement has a deep desire to be understood. This placement has a deep desire to be understood, to be supported, to be heard, to actually be able to talk about emotions openly with someone they trust. This is actually a deep desire of this type. They do remember, strongly remember those negative emotions and those positive emotions, events that evoke those strong feelings in them. They can remember them very, very vividly, and they can kind of go back to them, or they can associate with that. They can be attached to that, right? So it will evoke something strong in this individual. We're on a party and there is a 3E individual. What happens when you give them alcohol? What happens when you give them alcohol? Think about it. What will happen? Eh? Will he start sobbing? Me. What will he do? The truth is, what happens when you give an emotionally constipated alcohol? They open up. And this is something with 3E that also is accurate. They do open up after you give them alcohol. Be careful though, this doesn't have to be positive. This can be negative too, okay? Just because you give them alcohol doesn't mean it's going to be expressed positive emotionality. It can be very negative emotions that they're trying to keep under tabs, and it can be then expressed negatively and badly. But there is some positives here, right? Because if it's positive emotions, it helps them open up. It helps them to admit to what they're feeling, to express it without fear of being judged. To lower the inhibition, because that's what it is. This 3E basically inhibits their emotional reaction. There's this constant inhibition. That allows them to get rid of that. You want to open them up? Get them drunk, bro. What the fuck? It's easy. Obviously, within reason, right? There's this confusion with their feelings. Right? They are attached to their emotions in many ways, but there is also confusion with their feelings. They don't know what they feel. They don't know how to deal with those emotions. And if you ask them, how do you feel? You're not going to get a fucking good answer, because it's not going to be a fucking decent answer, right? It's going to be confusing to them. It's going to be troublesome. But 3E is known quite often to be an unstable. It can be a very neurotic individual. A limbic person. That's what we would expect. We would expect a 3E person to be limbic. And you think to yourself, well, why? Why would they be limbic if they keep their emotions to themselves? If emotions are your weak spot, you're probably not the most unemotional individual now, are you? So there is this limbic nature of 3E. 3Es actually can be quite explosive emotionally. So it might bitch slap you with emotions, and that's it. So it is dangerous. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna be start weeping, but anger probably is gonna be as the emotion that is being channeled outwardly. Maybe they're feeling all kinds of things, but 3E being 3E, it's gonna manifest as anger, as explosive emotions, and it's because they don't know how to handle emotion, so it's gonna be problematic. When shit hits the fan, it will come out, and it's gonna come out in a very, very dangerous fashion. Anyway, let's wrap it up.